no one sort of deal or fix is going to solve a problem that in this country, excessive levels of migration, that the government has the legislative tools to solve. That they have a majority in Parliament. If they want to pass a law that gives them what they need to deport or reject asylum applications, they can. And I think we've let the government off the hook, and I think we've focused far too much, even just on the question of asylum. So that, over 1 million people entered the country last year on visas granted by the government. Most of those people were not asylum seekers. Yeah. They were students. They were people who came here to work. And while those aspirations individually are perfectly admirable, the overall effect of 1 million people are entering the country is huge pressure on the housing market. It's a downward pressure on wages. And I don't think that this is a responsible attitude to a country where people can't afford to buy a home and they haven't seen a wage increase and they're seeing their cost of living going.
Yeah, Sebastian, let me just interject there, because you've hit a very, very good point, which is that when Liz Truss was discussing about the fact that she might want to, in order to go for growth, strike things like visa deals for essentially free movement with countries like India and subcontinent and all those places. At the same time, people were thinking, well, maybe, just maybe, that's palatable if we saw illegal immigration as well. But hang on a minute, it looks as though she wants to do neither. And here I am, and I cannot believe this, sitting at Liverpool at a Labour Party conference with a Labour Party leader who's just said to me there that he wants controlled immigration and a points-based system. I mean, good grief, Labour has said that they were on top of the economy. Don't tell me they're on top of immigration now as well.
I mean, one would believe it when you see it in power, but nevertheless, after successive Tory manifestos where have been promised low immigration, the words tens of thousands have been bandied around a lot, and it's not. Obviously, governments always fall short of targets, but you have to look at the numbers going up and have to say there hasn't even been an attempt to make this happen. And you can say that Home Secretaries have made efforts, but realistically, these are things that have to happen in our economic policy. It has to happen in the Treasury. It has to happen in the Department of Business. In none of these, there's no joined-up approach. And I think there are very few governments that are willing to sacrifice GDP growth if they think that migration might help that. And the problem is, of course, migration will help GDP growth. If you add 1 million more people to the country, the economy will be larger. It's just that the per capita level of income will not necessarily go up at all. Productivity will not necessarily go up. But they can point to a line on a graph and they can keep paying the bills and claim that they've done their job. But it's
Look, Sebastian, I can't help but... Yeah, I can't help but fear, Sebastian, that the people in this country now who frankly care about the number of both legal and illegal immigration that we're seeing, people who've been called Little Englanders, people who've been called racist, people who've been marginalised for such a long period of time, actually I would argue that the vast majority of those people simply care about having enough housing stock, access to public services, potentially perhaps as well national culture, demographics, dare I say it. Now those people are just going to have to suck it up, because as far as I can tell, there is not a major political party in this country that really overtly cares about controlling immigration. Do the British public now just have to accept the fact that, frankly, immigration is going to run rampant both legally and illegally in Britain for the foreseeable future?
Well, that's certainly what we've been served up. I don't think people have to accept it. I mean, the real problem is that people won't accept it. And I think that the British political system, it's very robust. It's very resilient, but firstly, that's partly how we've gone into trouble. That I think we've become quite naive, and that if you look at the rise of populism worldwide, you're seeing a situation in which populations over and over again have rebelled, and we saw this during Brexit. That you're unleashing a huge amount of political instability if you don't listen to what people are telling you, and if you don't give people certainty about the future. And I don't think you've mentioned racism. I don't think it is remotely a question of race. I think people of all backgrounds in this country suffer when they feel they don't have a control of their borders. And I don't think it matters where you're born or how you came to this country. If you're facing a competition with the global labour market, if you're facing competition with global capital market, that's not what people have signed up for who have come to this country legally.